Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Round Lake Area Board of Education in the Round Lake High School Media Center on November 3rd at 6:59 p.m. If I can get started first with a roll call, please.
Miss Lee?
Here.
Mr. Jewett?
Here.
Mr. Tavera?
Here.
Mrs. Larson?
Here.
Mr. Francisco?
Here.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Here.
All right, and first up is our Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up, I'll need a motion to approve the meeting agenda as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Miss Lee. If I can get a roll call, please.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yeah.
Motion passes. We have an approved agenda, and first up on that is communications to the board and our Round Lake High School partnership with the Chicago Bears. Need to hold down the button in order for it. Thank you.
It's my first time. All right. At the beginning of September, Gustavo Silva, Director of Football Development with the Chicago Bears, approached RLHS with the artistic design challenge of creating a custom deck of Loteria cards celebrating Latino heritage intertwined with the Chicago Bears brand. I pitched this work-based learning project to our combined painting and AP art classes, and these students and many more jumped at the chance to collaborate with a professional organization within the NFL and proudly share their heritage and knowledge of Loteria with others. When we agreed to this project, we truly had no idea just how special it was and what a multi-tiered learning opportunity it would become. They're passing around some of the artwork the students made. Working with the Chicago Bears professional creative team, who provided constructive feedback about meeting real-world marketing parameters and fluid deadlines, students developed a variety of concepts for the cards to showcase not only the Bears and their Hispanic heritage, but also added some suburban flavor to their designs. During this team-based challenge, I witnessed students come together to support one another creatively. When we were down to the wire and additional designs were requested with less than a 24-hour turnaround, even more art students jumped in to help see this process through to the finish line, working in a truly selfless capacity so that multiple artists worked on individual pieces. It is a powerful testament to the community of student artists we have here, the ability to joyfully work together under pressure to create a unified series of work. The final pieces were then sent off to the Chicago Bears for printing, and the Loteria sets were used during Hispanic Heritage Month for Chicago Bears outreach events in a variety of suburban communities. I think it's something important to note that many NFL teams also have Loteria decks that they use for this purpose. As far as we know, the Chicago Bears and our students are the only non-professional artists to be asked to do something like this. Due to the success of this project, this past Friday, the RLHS Loteria artists and I were invited to appear on Fox 32's Good Day Chicago to discuss this work-based learning experience and what it meant to us. We were fortunate to be offered the chance for all students to be put on the air and given a bit of the spotlight that day. We were very grateful to Miguel Lemus at the Chicago Bears, our principal, Mr. Peterson, Ms. Carolyn Corcoran, and other district administrators who supported this additional, very unexpected opportunity to be immersed in a professional television studio and share this excellent Round Lake learning experience with the greater Chicagoland area. We are grateful to the Chicago Bears for continuing to partner with the Round Lake area schools and look forward to future collaborations like this. As we rode the bus home on Friday from this experience, the students shared how this made them feel valued in our school community, that they loved how proud their parents could be of them in this moment, and how they might start watching the news now because of this experience. I liked that one a lot. Not only did this creative opportunity give our students well-deserved recognition, it also showed them that their skills in art have more than one place in this world and can open many career pathways. though honestly, I'd love for them all to become future art teachers. Please join me in giving this group of phenomenal artists a well-deserved round of applause, and then a few of them would like to share what they've learned from this experience.
Hello, my name is Jaden Taylor. I am a senior here, and I worked with the artist who created the Loteria cards. For me, a big takeaway for this was getting the chance to show the creativity and color that Round Lake has to offer. Something that in the past I don't think the arts in particular have been given the opportunity to do. And thanks to the Chicago Bears and our principal, Mr. Peterson, we were given that opportunity. And to see that not only did we get recognized by our fellow, neighbors in Round Lake, but also Chicago and Fox News was such an exciting and spectacular thing for me and my fellow classmates. And for me, that is the biggest takeaway.
My name is Evelyn Martinez. I'm also a senior. It was for me. It was a really amazing experience because I never really thought that art can really get to a certain level. And honestly, for me, it was amazing to work with my classmates. I feel like everyone just started connecting more. We all just started talking, and it was just amazing because you just got to be. I feel like you got to be important. You got to be seen when when we got recognized by the Bears. This is a very small town, and I feel like this was a great opportunity for people to see that high school students can do a lot. And I don't know, it's just still really shocking. It hasn't really hit me this is a big deal, and I just still haven't it hasn't hit me totally whoa. It's basically history at this point, when when I'm 30, I'm gonna be yo guys, I made this, I'm on the Chicago Bears website. That's pretty amazing. But yeah, that's my takeaway on this project. It's amazing. I wish I could have more opportunities. Hopefully, they can come my way, and also as well as my classmates, because they also worked really hard on this. So I'm proud of them as well.
Hello, I'm Evelyn Avalos. I'm also a senior. This was such a great experience. It was a very big opportunity for us as a small town and as a high school. All my friends, we got all to come together in the classroom and make really cool art. And for the Bears at that, it was very exciting. And then being able to go to the new station was really, really, really fun and a great opportunity. It was such short notice, but it was really fun, and I think I learned a lot from all we did and all the opportunities that we had.
Hello, my name is Kyrie Trujillo. I'm one of the students who also worked on this, and I just want to say how grateful I am to be a part of this. It honestly, it was a last minute thing for me, and I'm so surprised I had the opportunity to do this. To be honest, I actually procrastinated on it, and I did it very last minute, but I got it done. But it's just wow, I didn't expect for it to get this big. I did it because I was kind of bored, but the opportunity came to me, and then there I was on air about to throw up either of excitement or being scared. So, to be honest, and it let me know something about myself is I really like speaking and being social, and I made really good friends throughout this all. So, I'm just very thrilled to be a part of this. And I want to thank Mr. Peterson and the Chicago Bears so much. I am very grateful to have this experience, and it's just I'm very happy. Thank you.
All right. Well, next up, we have our BPAC update, and it looks like it's Mr. Grivaldo.
Well, good evening. I don't know what title do I have on BPAC, but it's my turn to speak. On behalf of the Bilingual Parents Advisor Community, I would like to say thank you to students, teachers, administrators, board members, and community members for supporting our 14th Hispanic Heritage Celebration. Even though with the situation that is happening, parents and teachers and committee members, they support us to make this special for the kids. I'd just like to say thank you. The celebration, it was very special because our students are finding their talents. They can experience being on beautiful stages and wear the special dresses in honor of their heritage. I know this for a fact because when I was a kid, I remember my parents, they used to tell me, don't raise up your hand while you're always at the dances and all that stuff. But it was something that helped me up to become the person that I am. So I would like to say, everyone, thank you for that, to give these kids that opportunity to show our heritage and to share everything that we have as community. The other thing that I got, it's this Friday, it's our first academy seminar, both in English and Spanish. We're gonna continue learning how to support our students at home as parents, and we are committed to learn ways to support our students in academic journey. The topic of this Friday is very important because we're helping us work with our teachers, counselors, social workers to support our students. Our student needs a lot of academic support. And we're trying to do our best, and we're gonna keep continuing with our parents too. This year, BPAC also is gonna focus on mental health. This situation is not helping out also. During each of these events, our students in childcare are coloring, doing artwork, playing, forming community to keeping children away from devices in order to promote playing and socializing on mental breaks. I have seen, because I'm always looking around on my community, bus stops, second, third graders with cell phones, a group of 4 or 5 kids all together without speaking. I hate that, because the best friendship that I had is when I didn't have a cell phone. I know as parents we're concerned about our kids, where they at, if they are safe. But I mean, this generation is losing a lot of communication with others. And I have seen also on the workplace that they're not paying attention at work because they're paying more attention to this. And that's what is causing more accidents. So, as part of BPAC, I have talked to some of my parents, and we're gonna try to go back to basics. Try to color, make songs, loteria playing, things like that. We can gather the families. I also signed up to be the president of PTO at Indian Hill. So I'm gonna be implementing stuff up there too. So that's what I got as a report. So I would like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is our periodic updates to the board from our food vendor, Organic Life.
Good evening. I will be speaking today. I know you guys are used to Erica, but she's here. She wanted to say hi. So yeah, today I'll be updating you guys on our, first quarter, first of three presentations. First off, we're gonna do a summer recap of what happened over the summer during our break. Not really our break, as you guys know. It's when we work the most. I'm sure you guys do too. So first off, an update on some professional development from Kent, our new food service director that you met last year. Kent attended the annual national conference for the SNA, which is the School Nutrition Association. They focus on helping school programs around the country with all the same challenges that we have in promoting school meals, both locally and at the federal level in DC as well. So what Kent did, he went to some workshops that really helped with things that we're doing here, like powering up with school breakfast, food sanitation, and just allergy training and things like that. There was also a lot of K-12 exhibitors that he was able to connect with in order to bring new menu items and connect with equipment vendors, which we've already started using in Round Lake. So that was a good 3-day conference, I believe, he was down there for. There was also the SB Breakfast Expansion Grant Training that we attended in Joliet this summer. And of course, the Organic Life Annual Company Manager Meeting, where we have a bunch of breakout sessions and specialized areas that we focus on. So that's just an update on that. We also did a signage revamp. I know we probably forget how it used to look before we were here, but as anything goes, wear and tear happens, and we've seen signage get down, whether it's from just kids peeling things off the wall or just, things just not sticking to it anymore, and colors fading. So we went around to every site, every school, did a revamp of wrappings and signage. We added more items to places now that things have changed throughout the past 7-8 years. The lines have changed where kids go through, so we've added more things so that they're visible to the students. Right here you see pictures of new signage we did at Beach at the top left corner. We redid the good food sign at the high school. And then there's Beach on the bottom left and the middle school on the bottom right. Round Lake Middle School. Some numbers for the data people. We've got participation from August and September. We finished this presentation in October, so we weren't able to add October because our numbers are not finalized yet. But we will have this updated in our next presentation with the rest of the months. Here we're showing average breakfast per day, August and September, and you can see a trend of it rising from month to month. We monitor and we want to show you guys how that participation grows throughout the year or how it fluctuates. I predict there are months where it goes down during the winter, based on attendance and all that, but we'll be able to show you that data as we go over. Now we also have got average lunches per day, how those fluctuated from August to September. Average supper meals per day as well for McGee, Supper, and the high school. Next time I'm gonna make these labels bigger because I can't see even with my glasses. Sorry. Then now we've got average meals per day. So we've got the breakfast, we've got lunch, snack, and supper. We can see the biggest difference going in breakfast. The rise in participation there, and I will speak about that shortly. Why that happened. So we applied for the breakfast equipment grant along with the finance department with their assistant. We did it last year where we got the breakfast cards, but we really digged into it this year. We've got immersion blenders, portable hot boxes, and marketing materials such as signage and T-shirts that the staff can wear on special days. We've been working close with T on bringing different menu items and just kind of amping it up more since we serve in a grab and go fashion, if it's sometimes limited with what you can serve, but with this equipment like the hot boxes and the carts, we're able to bring more hot breakfast to the grab and go style. So some of the new items that we featured, we started doing smoothies for both the middle schools and the high schools in September, and then we did the elementary schools in October. On those days that we served smoothies, we noticed a rise in participation, and it was clear this day that these items were working. We also did the egg bites. We featured that as a new item in all the schools, and we also noticed an increase in participation on those days based on our other numbers. So our plan is to menu more of these more often and more varieties of these. So we're seeing that that's what kids are liking. We also celebrated National School Lunch Week in October. I don't know why they chose the week with Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day. So we missed a day on Monday, but the theme this year all around the country for National School Lunch Week was Taste the World. So we feature items from a different country every day, and promoted this so that students just know that there's different varieties of lunch options available. And we also did a promotion with Lucky Tray Day. So we did Lucky Tray Day every week that week. I mean, every day that week. Every day, every period for every site. Lucky Tray Day pretty much works. We hide a sticker in one of the trays and have prizes for the kids so they get excited. There was a lot of buzz going around, especially with the elementary students. They get so excited with that, and they look for the tray, winning stickers, winning trays, get prizes. We had educational types of prizes like pencils and pencil toppers and erasers, things like that. So here's some pictures of some of the kids. On the left, we have Angie at Indian Hill. Then we got some students at Beach and Murphy. On the right, we've got a student choosing his prize. So what that does is just create excitement, and they want to eat lunch and the chance of winning a prize. Next, I just featured some caterings we did over the summer that we're happy to always do for you guys. Fortunately, caterings don't have restrictions like school lunch does, but we continue to do them and are happy to always provide for the district, at any level whenever you need us to meet your catering needs. Looking ahead, we are in the process of establishing our menu advisory meetings. Our menu advisory meetings are meant to basically get feedback from students, but not just students. We want to invite students, parents, and any admins or staff that to be part of them. The way we would hold this is we would have a quick NSLP lesson just to show them why we do what we do, why we serve what we serve, and why we can't serve certain things, right? We don't just want to hold an open meeting and have people tell us they want Takis for lunch. We just can't do that. But we'll lay out the parameters and then show them what, we'll also bring them through the line, open the line up. Parents can see what school lunch looks like. They can taste it, and then, have some feedback from them. Obviously, reinforce the things they like, but more importantly, attack the things that we need to make better right away. We're also reinforcing our breakfast changes. Moving ahead, like I spoke about the egg bites and protein items and smoothies. We finally received all our blenders and equipment, so we'll be able to do them more often and at the same time in more schools. We've been working closely with T on adding more protein items to breakfast as opposed to just grains. The big change that we made this month was the whole fruit in the bag for breakfast as opposed to the juice in the bag. The kids can still grab the juice if they want, but at least we have the fruit in their bag, and we make sure they take that. And keep adding the new menu items as we go. Last item would be our pasta challenge for 2026. Our data is TBD, but just letting you guys know, and then we'll send communication with T and Yanira about it. Hopefully you guys can be judges this year. Lastly, honorable mentions or shout outs. Just want to do some staff shout outs. We normally don't do that, but we're really grateful of our staff. We're really grateful of, obviously, Round Lake staff and the support we get from the finance office and and from facilities and equipment, anyone, it takes a village to make this happen. We're the biggest restaurant in town. A lot of things have to go right for kids to get fed, and a lot of people, to do their part. We have our Miss Tammy and Mary from the middle school. The middle school does these things where they have like Pokemon cards for staff, teachers, and everybody. So they're part of that. We have our high school staff wearing the breakfast T-shirts on the special breakfast days. And thank you to, I think it was Brian that gave Tasha the Most Valuable Panther award in October, if I believe, or September. I might have the month wrong, but you guys all know Tasha. She's amazing. She's always involved in our catering, so always involved in everything. So, special shout out to her. And special shout out to Kent, who, he's new. He was new last year, but he's adjusted and, working closely with T and, making sure that we meet our goals and give the kids the best possible food service experience they can have. As always, grateful for another incredible school year serving the students and the community of Round Lake 116. Thank you to the board and thank you to the superintendent for the partnership. Any questions?
And so I've got two. One is a comment. Really appreciate the suppers, over a couple hundred just in month of September for the district. I think that's fantastic. Really serve the students after school. The second one is for the next report. I understand we just had 2 months, so it's really not. I know. If we could have just the comparison versus last year.
Of course.
Yeah, I do have a question, and I was going to ask that for as well, the comparison from last year to this year. A question on the signage revamp. Is the signage revamped, is there a certain life cycle that you all use, or is it just when they become kind of tattered and need to be touched up?
I think after 5 years, it starts. But as we've already put stuff up, especially when we're putting things up in the walls where students can reach them, if it's a wear and tear thing, if things get taken down, then we fix them right away.
And then for the menu advisory meetings, this is something new, correct? That you guys.
Correct.
So do you have more of an outline, like how, will these happen quarterly? How are you?
These have to happen at least twice a year. We're shooting for more times because if we do it twice a year, we have to try to fit in all grade levels in those 2 meetings, and it's not feasible to put kindergartners or first graders with high school kids. They have different needs, different kinds of meals. So we want to do at least 3 where we target elementary students, middle school students, and high school students.
Okay. Do you have a targeted timeline? Because you want to getting these all 3 done in this calendar school year?
Yeah, we try to get them all done before March because the first one we want to get done before the next board meeting so we can at least give you guys some data on that and what we got. But we just because we have till May to finish them, by the time we hear feedback in May, it's too late to make changes. So we do want to get them as soon, the latest by maybe end of February, beginning of March.
Okay. And then just more of a comment, I definitely appreciate the changes for breakfast. The egg bites, I think, is a great addition for the kids. So I just wanted to just comment on that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none. Thank you so very much.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
All right, next we will transition to the summative designations and achievement data. And I think that's Dr. Stefan will lead the team up here.
All right, good evening. We're here this evening, Ms. Kurtz and Mr. Dees and I, to present our school designations and achievement data. We'll be bouncing back and forth between the 3 of us to just share what we found in our school report cards that were just recently released. So our items here on the agenda. First thing, I will be reviewing the ISB designation and the process overview. Then from there, we will be moving into the 2025 designation ratings, followed by designation index score review that will include the 2023 to 2025 in subgroup data, academic proficiency, academic growth, chronic absenteeism, where we'll dive a little bit into school lytics and attendance, as well as high school graduation rate and advanced placement data. And then we'll jump into some next steps. So first things first, on this first slide here, when you're looking at the ISB ratings and indicators for student success, on the left-hand side, I want to call out the 5 different ratings that you see there. There are 5 different ratings that the state can provide: exemplary, commendable, targeted support, comprehensive support, and intensive support. And the schools will receive an annual summative designation on the report card. The designation is based on the school's overall data. You'll hear us use the term index score a lot through the presentation. That's the score we're referring to when we're adding up all the different indicators. They provide us with an overall index score, which you will see in the presentation. This identifies schools for any potential additional support. And it also contains, like I said here, the 5 different designations. The key point to call out is that schools are placed into groups of exemplary based on their overall performance being in the top 10% of all schools across the state. They receive the commendable rating if their overall performance is not in the top 10%, but they still do not have any students that are performing below the lowest 5% of schools. Targeted support is when you might have, you will have overall commendable data, but you have a subgroup that has been identified to be performing below that 5% threshold of lowest performing schools. And to get a subgroup, you have to have 20 or more students in the building within that subgroup. So when Ms. Kurt starts going through the data, you'll start to see some schools don't necessarily qualify to have a subgroup. When we look at comprehensive support, that's when I was speaking to the overall performance being in the bottom 5% of schools across the state. And then intensive support is if you've been in a school improvement cycle for 4 years, but there still has been either continued overall need for improvement in that lowest bottom 5% or a subgroup. So it's a little bit tricky, but we'll do our best to kind of navigate through where we are at as a district. When you look on the right-hand side, the 2 pie charts there, on the left you see elementary and middle school scores, and there's a wide variety of different metrics that go into the overall school index score, but the 3 big categories in middle school are going to be 50% is student growth in English language arts and math. 15% is their proficiency, which is measuring if they are performing at grade level in, again, English language arts and math. And then 20% of their score is looking at if they are performing, where they're at with chronic absenteeism. And chronic absenteeism is when students are missing more than 10% of the school year. So when it comes to high school, Mr. Dees is going to jump in on those indicators, excuse me.
So for high school, it's a little different than the K-8 rankings. So for high school, half of the designation score comes from graduation rate alone. So when you look at the index scores that you'll see from Ms. Kurtz later on, you'll see some differing overall ratings. That's the key driver why for high school, because graduation rate is half our scores, just that metric alone. Outside of graduation rates, key parts being ELA and math growth, but just for us, 15% are those 2 categories, whereas half of the K-8 score is ELA and math growth. Also for us, freshmen on track is 8.33%. So how our freshmen are tracking towards graduation, as well as areas of chronic absenteeism is about 10% of our score. So for us, a big thing is graduation rates, absenteeism, ELA, and math growth.
All right, so moving from the ratings and the indicators, you move into the process, which I know we've presented on before. And again, this can be complicated, so I'll walk through it pretty slowly here. But when we're looking at how they determine at the state level the ranking for each school, in order to find the thresholds or cutoffs for each assigned designation, they will use this particular process where the top 10% of schools will have that highest index score. So all those indicators that Mr. Dees and I referenced create an overall index score, and that score determines if you are in the top 10% of schools across the state of Illinois, then you receive the rating of exemplary. And this kind of sets the cap. So the bottom of that cap there in this particular example on the left is Oak Hill Charter School. That's the bottom for that 10%. Then to determine the group that would be in that lowest performing score group that would be given a comprehensive rating, that's where they look at students, or not students, schools that fall below the bottom 5% of schools because their index score was at the lowest 5% of every school in Illinois. And again, they are then given that comprehensive rating, and it helps, it really defines and sets the threshold for if you will be then identified as targeted. And targeted rating, remember, is if you have a subgroup that falls in that 5%. So your overall index score could be commendable, which you're definitely going to see in our data that overall our index scores are falling in commendable, but we end up with some subgroups that aren't performing where we would like them to be, which puts us into that targeted group because we have that subgroup at the low 5%. So now looking at our overall ratings as a district, we have two really big key pieces on this particular visual that I want to call out. Being on the right-hand side there, the annual summative designation, and then the school improvement status that we are currently in. So the annual summative designation, you can see that our schools listed on the left-hand side, is either going to be targeted or commendable. We're really excited to see that we have 3 schools this year that have moved into the commendable area. And then we do have schools that are still being identified in that targeted group because we have a subgroup that is underperforming and it fits into that 5% of schools across the state. So then the next column to the right is your school improvement status. And I know we don't love acronyms. CSI, it calls out there, does mean comprehensive school improvement status. So we have schools that are targeted and therefore in that comprehensive school improvement status. We are currently for all schools in year 3 except villages in year 2. And it's a 4-year school improvement cycle. So that just kind of gives you an idea of where we're at in the process of working towards improvement. And then from there you can see the TSI stands for Targeted School Improvement Status. Let me see. Really, I think I summarized all of it there with having 4 groups in the targeted group. Actually, it's 5 and 3 groups in the commendable. And that kind of gives us an overview of our summative designations. Ms. Kurtz is going to jump into much heavier data review. I should have started this in the beginning of the presentation that we definitely will allow plenty of time at the end for questions. There is some data throughout here with extra links because we could, as you all know, spend a lot of time diving in and going into all this. So we're more than willing to answer any questions. As you start digging more into the data, please feel free to keep track of any questions that may pop up and we'll grab those at the end.
All right, good evening. So I'm going to be diving into our index score review from 2023 to 2025. Again, these are the cumulative score for each subgroup that they receive based on the indicators of success for each school. So when we are looking at the performance insight across our district, green indicates, the color coding is green indicates scores falling within the commendable range. Yellow identifies a score that falls below that lowest threshold needed to be in the commendable range, and black indicates a subgroup lower than 20, so data couldn't be provided over the course of the 3 years. So first I want to talk about the threshold. So Dr. Steffen had referred to these when she was talking about the process and ranking. So the thresholds were established for the school year. They've been a moving target every year based on school performances. We know that after this school year, the accountability system is being redesigned, so this will all change for next school year. When we look at the thresholds for elementary and middle schools, an exemplary score is 81.99, while for high schools, it's higher at 93.02. The comprehensive and targeted scores are 38.71 for the younger grades and 15.03 for high schools. On a positive note, 87% of our index scores for our district between 2023 and 2025 remained within the commendable range. Importantly also, all subgroups including former EL, Hispanic Latino, low income, 2 or more races, and the white subgroups performed in the commendable range historically throughout all of the years. Notably, the former EL subgroup continues to outperform other groups district-wide, which is truly a commendable achievement. We do have areas of focus to put our eyes on and review data, and our buildings are already at work doing so, particularly special education and in our middle schools, the Black and African American subgroup. Addressing these needs remain a priority for us as the data reflects clearly where our energy and effort needs to be placed. Last board meeting, I spoke with you about the changes to the cut scores and proficiency benchmarks, and here is where we will start seeing that reflected in the data. So on this slide, we are looking at the academic proficiency, examining the changes from 24 to 2025. Please note that while I'm representing year-over-year proficiency here, as discussed at the previous board meeting, cohort data can no longer be tracked due to the benchmark and cut score changes. However, they're shown as a data point to allow for reflection on the impact of those cut score changes. You'll notice there's been both a decrease and increase in proficiency levels, and this shift is due in part to the application of the new benchmark and cut score changes for 2025. Notably, from those changes, ELA scores are generally supposed to be easier than math, while science cut scores were adjusted to increase in rigor. And Ms. Negretti McGinley, last time at the board meeting, you asked about the impact of those science cut scores, and this is a slide where we'll see that occur. This might initially seem daunting, but again, it's a steps towards higher standards in education and ensuring that our students have a fair chance on performance. We're also seeing a new set of baseline data for our 3-5 buildings from the transition from the partner school model. So this is the first year that we have a full year of data now out of that transition and the new makeup of our buildings. Round Lake High School, it's also important to note, shifted from the SAT data to ACT data for 2025. This was coupled with the implementation of new curricula at the elementary level is showing promising results in some areas. And again, the pre-ACT fall benchmark data is providing useful insight into student readiness. All of our schools are reflecting an increase in proficiency in both ELA and math, which is an encouraging trend. Even with the cut score changes, Round Lake High School saw a remarkable 23.5% increase in ELA proficiency and 11.5% increase in math proficiency. Other schools such as Ellis, Indian Hill, and Village have also shown impressive gains, with Village achieving an 18.4% increase in ELA proficiency. These results I just spoke to are statistically impressive. Even with the cut score changes, the increases are more than expected change in proficiency than I would typically expect to see within those changes. Additionally, while science proficiency was negatively impacted by the cut score changes, it was a necessary adjustment to ensure that our students are meeting more rigorous expectations, and the data gives us a more accurate read on student performance to understand their actual levels of proficiency so we know how to target and support. Lastly, it's important to note that you'll notice at our K2 buildings, Murphy and Beach, you will no longer see proficiency reported on their Illinois school report card data. It reflects a shift in focus on the metrics because now they use the track back data from the 3-5 building. So third grade proficiency and fourth grade growth is tracked back into their summative designations. However, it's not reflected on the report card for academic proficiency. All right, so now I will dive into academic growth highlights from 2024 to 2025. It's important to note that while student growth increased in some areas, it's remained steady or even decreased in other areas. The varied performance, again, gives us insight into where we need to focus our efforts in our school improvement action steps. A standout achievement is at Round Lake High School, which grew above the state average of the 50th percentile, which is a commendable accomplishment, switching to ACT and with the changes to the proficiency benchmark and cut score changes. Village and Ellis schools also showed significant progress. Village increased their average growth percentile in both ELA and math, while Ellis made gains in ELA and maintained performance in math. We did observe a decrease in ELA growth at the middle schools in Indian Hill, which is highlighting an area of improvement for both schools. And again, with our K2 buildings, they will also no longer report out on growth on the report card. However, the trackback data is included in their summative designation calculations. On this slide and the prior slide, there are also links in the bottom right that provide you more in-depth data in regards to district performance by grade level in the areas of proficiency and growth for our K-8 buildings, as well as the ACT and pre-ACT data broken down by grade level. Chronic absenteeism is one of the highest ranking indicators of student success on our summative designations. It's a huge factor of data, and it's also a goal 3 for all of our school improvement plans. First, I want to recognize the positive news that Indian Hill and Village have achieved lower chronic absenteeism rates than the state average. It's a testament to effective strategies being implemented in both of the schools. There's a notable change in the historical data at Beach, Ellis, and Murphy, where absenteeism has historically been below state average. However, it has risen above this past school year. A significant factor is the inclusion of kindergarten within each building, which comes with the change to partner school model. When I see changes in data like that, I have to do a little bit of digging to understand why and to verify what I'm thinking is happening. So I first looked back in 2023 when kindergarten was first included in chronic absenteeism data as reported out on the Illinois School Report Card. In 2023 at Pleviac at the time, 44% of kindergartners were chronically absent. In digging into more specific data from last year, it was observed that 148 of our kindergarten students missed 10% or more of the school year, which is approximately 36% of our kindergartners across the district. That is an area of focus for our K-2 buildings now that they have their baseline of data, is to add an action step to support encouraging our kindergarten students to be attending school. Some strategies were utilized to improve attendance last year as part of the school improvement goal 3 in every building were creative approaches like dojo and social media posts to highlight attendance data and share out that underscore the importance of daily attendance. We had organized spirit weeks around long breaks and held competitions with incentives to motivate students to come to school. Positive attendance was recognized with catchy slogans like at Beach, let's all cheer, everyone is here, and with rewarding classrooms with 100% attendance at school with school dollars, which are small but impactful steps. All of these strategies are designed not just to improve numbers, but to also foster a culture where every day of learning counts. With that being said, I think it would be disingenuous if I didn't recognize the potential impact of occurrences within our community currently and how this could impact our attendance for the school year. Our assistant principals are practicing sensitivity and compassion when making attendance-related phone calls and holding conferences, as we want to approach families with care, support, and understanding given the climate and experience of our individual families at this time. Dr. Mendoza, did you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, our attendance rate, it is the last month, there's been a lot going on. We've been in constant contact with our state senators, our House reps. I've had discussions with the state superintendent, and we're going to keep monitoring that. But you have to remember the overall attendance rate doesn't correspond to chronic absenteeism necessarily, because we do have high attendance rates. The other thing that you should be aware of is the state has developed a chronic absenteeism task force because they realize this is an issue. Ms. Kurtz has a leadership opportunity, hopefully, through EdRed. I was asked if we could provide somebody to participate on that committee, and hoping Ms. Kurtz gets an opportunity. But that is one, and I think I said the same thing last year. We are working our tails off to increase attendance, and we see pockets of it. And the other thing, without naming, and I'm really going to just focus on high schools, typically when I review data, there's probably at the high school level 4 to 5 schools that I consider like high schools around Lake. One right now, I think our high school chronic absenteeism rate is 38%. One of the 3 or 4 schools is in the mid 50s. The other one is in the mid 40s. Another one matches ours. And then there's another school locally that is, I guess the way I would say it is more homogenous. They're not dealing with some of the issues we are, and theirs is in the mid 30s. So we are, not going to rest. We're going to keep trying different things. Obviously, through the parent advisory committee, there's work being done with chronic absenteeism. But it's all post COVID. It's all post COVID. If you look at the history, it almost fell off a cliff, and it's been really hard to recover from that.
One thing that we are providing our building leadership team with is we've integrated Schoolalytics, which is our data dashboard platform, to transform how we look at data and turn it into actionable insights to empower our leadership teams. This is an example of a screenshot of the platform for our attendance visualizations within Schoolalytics. The data dashboard offers real-time attendance summaries, allowing us to analyze student performance across various attendance categories. Specifically, we can monitor chronic absenteeism, those that are already chronically absent, chronically truant, or those who are at risk. It equips our team with immediate data that enables us to better support and address the needs of families. So in real time, a building administrator can log in, click on the visualization, click on the yellow at-risk category, and it will drill down to specific students and let you know how many days they've missed, whether they're excused or unexcused, the frequency, the time over the week, the time of day that they're missing. It can give you as much data or as little data as you want, but it puts real-time data in the hands of our administrators to act on them quickly and help support students and families.
Ms. Kurtz, at a future meeting, is it possible when this gets built out a little bit more to give a demo to the board? We've never had this before, and it's live real-time data. Again, I know it's a lot of information to take in, but the fact that we can click on categories and it drills down to individual students is like a big deal. So we're not chasing the data. The data is available for us, so we can focus on the strategies, not trying to collect the data.
Yep, currently we are in the pilot phase. We are working with one administrator from each building level, and our goal is to transition after their feedback out of the pilot stage and adjusting the visualizations based on the pilot team's feedback, and then make the dashboard available to all building administrators by December, hopefully.
So as mentioned earlier in the presentation, graduation rate for high school is a very big deal because it's half our score comes from this factor alone. So we really want to highlight in these three categories. It measures graduation by 4-year rate, 5-year rate, and 6-year rate. Now, the majority of kids come obviously in the 4-year rate for our school. And you'll see in all three categories, though, that we saw growth beyond 90% in terms of our performance graduation last year, which is an amazing growth for our school. A big shout out to Ms. Kurtz, because Ms. Kurtz did a lot of I would call data scrubbing to find students who the state had miscategorized as not graduating or the wrong table, and she found them and corrected their errors. And thinking through for the 4-year rate, for every 6 kids who graduate, that's 1 more point. And then if that's half our score, those 6 points are a very big deal. So Ms. Kurtz is a big part of that work for our school to push that forward and helping us. We grew our score this year 10 points as a school, and a lot of it came from this rate increasing so much in graduation rates to 90% at all 3 categories, which is above state average, a big accomplishment for our school, and want to keep it going for next year as well, obviously.
Just to be clear, the index score, the overall index score went up 10 points at the high school. That's a big deal. So the graduation rate because I've been here for 13 years, that's the highest graduation rate I've seen since I've been in the district.
So very proud of that data at our school, but obviously thanks to our district leadership for supporting that effort in our building. Also want to highlight in this area also advanced placement scores. So this is just for seniors. We had also school-wide data and AP scores, but advanced placement, a big thing we want to work on in schools is growing access by number and also performance by score. So we had last year our highest number of seniors ever taking AP tests, as well as our highest ever score for seniors on AP tests. So really happy to see the fact that we're able to push our seniors to higher levels of performance in course and rigor, but also by score. So I want to show you the fact that we're doing well in sense of graduating, but also those who are graduating are getting higher marks of credit that can go towards college credit by doing well in advanced placement courses. And as we build up dual credit more and more, we'll pilot that in more presentations as well. Where it's not there enough yet to have a wide enough number for that to have data for the board. Hopefully in a year or two of dual credit as well as AP to show growth in our kids for college ready courses they took when seniors in our school.
All right, so when we look at next steps, we're going to all pitch in here. So we broke it into two categories, academics and chronic absenteeism. So anytime we have new data in our hands, our school improvement leadership teams, along with building administration, will review their action steps for their goals 1 and 2, which are their academic goals of their school improvement plans in response to a new year of baseline data, both state and local. So both our IAR data, our summative designations, report card data, and our local iReady data at elementary and at the high school. Our identified subgroup data will also be reviewed regularly and planned for within the plan. So action steps will be evaluated and students will be specifically discussed within those subgroups to look for opportunities for improvement.
So we look at improving overall curriculum and instruction and looking at our students' academic achievement. Obviously, we need to look and do some work in our special education area based on the targeted subgroup that we've been identified for there. We will be continuing to work with the Catalyst for Educational Change and working through the different supports and programming recommendations that they make. So we're currently continuing to do that work. And when we look at continued support in professional development and curriculum instruction, just 3 things that come to mind for me. At the secondary level, we've spent 2 years, I guess we're on year 1.5 now, with the PLC reset and really focusing on what is it we need kids to know, what do we do if they don't know it, what do they do if they do know it, and really focusing in on data in the classroom. That has been a huge focus at secondary. At elementary, as you know, we've done a lot of curriculum rollout that has now also moved into the secondary level, so making sure that we're on top of seeing how the new curriculum is impacting things, and making sure we're supporting their instruction with that new curriculum. And another piece of it, instructional support, is looking at our kindergarten programming and the work that we've done to bring in developmentally appropriate practice at kindergarten and build in some more guided play that aligns with future moving forward state mandates, but also just really good best practices on kindergarten and early childhood education and providing the PD for teachers to help us move and continue and improve academic achievement there.
For the high school, big area for growth still is ACT score. Thanks to the board's investment, we this year have Progress Learning, which is a benchmarking tool for ACT scores for students. We gave it in the fall. We'll do it again in winter and the spring. So based on those fall benchmark results, we saw some key areas for focus for us in the winter and spring before the test that kids take in April. So one area for us is that we saw on the 9, 10, 11th grade fall benchmarks, we had 15,000 unanswered questions, which is like 15% of the test. Kids didn't answer any question. So for us, it's not just kids putting their heads down, it's honors learners spending too much time on questions 1 through 5 and can't get to the back end questions. So for us, we have to work on in winter and spring, how do we help kids pace their tests more appropriately to answer all questions and do as well as they can to show their true growth in those areas. But for us, it's great data because we now know in the winter and spring how to kind of respond to that and coach kids to do better in those tests through pacing and strategies so they're better prepared for April, ACT, and pre-ACT. We also identified 3 key areas of kind of focus for instruction, which is using precise language. Think of being, you could say 10 words or 2 words. ACT does a lot around the sense of being more concise and measuring that. So we work on that skill in our English classes. Reading for key ideas and details is a key part of our social studies and science and world language classes. Summaries, main ideas, those kinds of things. And lastly, interpreting data. Speaking of the science assessment, a big part is looking at tables and understanding what the tables are saying and answering questions about it. A big part of our work in CT, science, and social studies. So those are key areas to kind of work on from the fall benchmark through winter, through spring, to hopefully see further growth in ACT and the tests we have in April this school year.
In regards to chronic absenteeism, so far we have trained, we had a lot of new assistant principals, especially at the elementary level. They were trained on what's called school status, which is our current attendance intervention platform that we utilized to look at data and analyze it before we move everybody over to Schoolalytics. They were also trained on attendance interventions and conferencing with families. Similarly to academics, the school improvement leadership teams, along with building administration, will review their action steps for goal 3 of their school improvement plans to evaluate and change or modify action steps towards overarching goals. So they'll be reflective on initiatives that we're working and ones that could be adjusted out of this new data. In our buildings that house kindergarten, they will be specifically identifying an action step to encourage student attendance at school and identify ways to motivate students to want to come to school, because we know at that level it's often not the kindergartners' reason why that they're not coming to school. We are also currently working with a pilot team of principals, as shared, from each level, testing the new attendance visualizations in Schoolalytics, with full implementation expected in the second semester for all of building administration. At this time, we open the floor for questions.
I have one more thing I want to share with the board. This is really important. We had our parent advisory group last week, and I don't know if you recognized our ISB principal school consultant was there, Caprice Walters. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. But I introduced myself to him, is very complimentary. And I just want to read a couple things that he sent me the next morning. Dr. Mendoza, now this is the individual assigned to the district for our targeted work. Very, very strong instructional background. I think what's really helpful is when we have a third party telling us we are focused on the right areas. That's reassuring. And I'm just going to read a small piece. It says, I wanted to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation for the outstanding stakeholder advisory meeting held last night. The organization, engagement, and shared commitment to student success were evident throughout our time together. He does highlight the amazing work of Casey Kurtz and the Teaching and Learning Department. But at the end, he says, while we know the work is ongoing, I rest easy knowing that you have assembled a team of leaders who are not only skilled and qualified to improve student outcomes, but who genuinely care about children, families, and their communities. Thank you for your continued support of your leadership team and for fostering an environment where excellence and heart go hand in hand. So the principals are working with him. He reviews our school improvement practices and processes, gives us guidance, coaching, feedback. I actually asked if he would come and speak to the board. He seems like a great individual, but I think he works with between 40 and 50 school districts. Probably doesn't have the bandwidth to do it. So, but he sent an email instead, so I wanted to share that. So at this time, our team is available to answer any questions you have regarding the presentations.
Questions from the board?
So one of the questions I have, on the Schoolalytics, is that an actual snapshot of ours? Okay. So I got some theories that are running in my head, so I just want to kind of run those, so I'm just doing that. So based on this data, this is chronic absenteeism, correct? And so this is saying that by the third week, there's a 40-something% chance, or a 40-something% of the students are at risk of chronic absenteeism. Is that correct?
Are you referring to the visualization at the bottom?
Yeah, I only work in colors, yeah.
So this is the district-wide snapshot, so you can drill it down by school, so it would look different for each school. So this is giving you the chronic absenteeism rate, essentially, and the risk categories distributed by week. Yeah, so you'll see the red doesn't necessarily change over time because it adjusts as the weeks move on. But yes, it's saying that the risk right there is chronically absent is, I'm sorry, the numbers are lower on mine, but yes, 10% or more of student absences during that week are higher.
I think though Mr. Jewett is combining yellow and red, so it's 40%.
Yes. Yep. Yellow is, I would say yellow are the students that we would intervene on because they are not, once a student becomes chronically absent, it's really hard, chronically truant specifically, but chronically absent, it's really hard to come back from that. But our at-risk and our lower end of the chronically absent students are the ones that we try to intervene on.
So basically once you miss a day, you miss a day kind of thing.
Once you hit 10% or more of the school year, it's hard to come back from that.
Because you can't exactly make up days.
Can I jump on that question real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so quick question. Does that also include, because of truancy, well, truancy is unexcused, but do we consider kids who are out, I mean, chronically absent is 10
Any
plus.
reason.
Any reason.
Any
So
reason.
any kid who's hospitalized.
Doesn't
any
matter.
Kid who is.
It's 17 days roughly. Any student for any reason. And it also includes, I just want to gently remind the board, we have emergency days. Students get 5 mental health days a year for excused, but we also have what's called a family emergency attendance code, which is fairly broad, but given what's been going on, that is something we would accept an excuse for. So, and those days can't be made up. So it really doesn't matter why. It's you're absent, you're absent.
But if a student is out, like medically, they can theoretically make up like their work,
Yeah.
or like if they're hospitalized, they might be in a program where they get education an hour or two a day, things of that nature.
Yeah, so there's almost like prorated attendance. You're not going to necessarily get a full day. It depends on how the day is structured. But if kids are doing work in some form, they do get credit for attendance. We do take attendance at the secondary level. This is important to understand by period. So from my best recollection, an accumulation of individual period misses turns into a day of absence. Does that make sense? So if you have a student who's here every day but is missing periods 1 and 2, those start stacking. Maybe just ask it and we'll figure out what you're trying to ask.
All right, so you guys know I was at the food bank during COVID, and there's a community feel of this, is like a shelter in place feeling of this, where there are some families, not all the families in the community during COVID, but there are a handful of families, or however many families, that had a sense for, because of their reason, whether like Julie, she worked in a hospital setting, or you have a family member at home that is vulnerable, needed to shelter in place. The schools at that point, because it was statewide, nationwide, so on, had systems in place to address that, right? But those supports are not necessarily in place anymore for that, for those students. So I appreciated when you said that there's a sensitivity being when saying, hey, your student needs to come to school, but we're like, I appreciate it, but we're not leaving the freaking house, right? So, because I would be like, I appreciate it if I felt like my family was vulnerable, that would be my response. Thank you very much. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, because I'm also conflicted, because I know educationally being present is the best thing, because we saw the negative impacts of not being in school on the educational impact on the students. But it's just so flipping hard. So that's why I'm struggling with asking the question. So I guess how are we helping them? Thank you.
Yeah, the one thing that stands out to me right away is something that, I mean, I know for sure Dr. Mendoza would know is a huge part of what I believe is essential that we do, which is make sure that school is accessible to kids the best that we can, and we don't punish them for things outside their control. So for many, many, many years now, we will take late work from students and they're not getting dinged. Like many of us may have had kids in other school districts where if it's a day late, it's 5 points off. It's half credit. Like you immediately get the F. That is not something that has been allowable in our district for a long time. Now, we did put at the high school level some parameters in place because we're also talking about teenagers, right? But the heart of those parameters was that we had to be thoughtful about what was going on for students when they need to be making up work and still getting credit. So that right now is for sure something we've always had in place, that a kid can not be in class, submit their assignment, and they could submit it a day from now. They could submit it a couple of days. Like, it isn't an immediate, you're not there, you can't do it. Another piece is definitely the fact that everything that they're doing is in Canvas for the most part. There's, their textbooks, if they have them, are linked to that. Resources are uploaded in there. So that is something for sure that even just talking with Mr. Dees, we can talk a little bit more about, pieces we can be communicating, to your point about making sure that they're aware. Like, if you're not there, you can do the work, you get credit, and just trying to provide those supports for kids is something that popped in my head right away. Is just that grading isn't something that they would get punished for.
I couldn't agree more. If you think about what happened during COVID, we made it easy, not the same, easier to get your work done and not be here. Everything is technology based. All of our kids have iPads. There's an expectation on some level that work is uploaded into the system. Teachers provide flexibility. Those are all really good things. But I just remember, and I know it, part of the reason why I never wanted to miss schools, I didn't have that. If I missed 2 days, now I had to learn 3 days at one, and it would stack up. And so I'd go to school, frankly, sick. And what else are we telling our kids? Don't come to school sick. If you're sick, stay home. That's another thing we're sharing. So it's a combination of things. But we are not interested in punishing kids. I mean, in the end, every single time parents have the right and should decide on any given day if their kids should be in school or not. And we're going to support them with that. So.
Just want to add one quick thing here. I don't have the exact numbers because Mr. Rinaldi, Mr. Peterson oversees student services and their work here in the school, but I do know in the first quarter we had some of our best numbers in this category we've ever seen. With our attendance team, our MTSS team, we were making incredible growth. But then recent events that happened the last few weeks that have really brought those things down. And so it's a challenge. We've made some really good steps for things we could control to drive the growth. But now something else has occurred, brought us back down to the levels we're seeing on these charts. So it's a struggle of like you make one step forward and now other things are going to navigate those new frontiers are all knowing what they are. But I think in our building with MTSS program, our attendance team, we've seen great interventions for those yellow category kids there. But now new factors in place now to respond to the new factor, which we all know what that is.
Any additional questions?
I do have a couple questions. I wasn't sure if Scott was. Thank you. Question on the index score review 23-25. Just want to confirm where it says CWD, that's children with disabilities.
Yes, I missed that acronym. It is Children with Disabilities.
Okay, just confirming, because again, this is out for the community to read as well, and it could be misconstrued. But when I look at that column, children with disabilities and our African American communities, and when you talk about next steps in support, continued support in professional development and curriculum instruction, how can that be targeted for those schools where we're seeing that are in that targeted status?
When I think about, we've had a lot of conversations at the teaching and learning level in regards to rigor for our special education students and multilingual learners as well. I mean, our multilingual data is definitely improving every year, but that doesn't mean it's where we want it to be, right? So we've had a lot of conversations about making sure, and even Mr. Dees and I have talked a lot about co-teaching, whether it's in a special education setting or a multilingual setting, and what is happening that's different in those settings, because they have the access to the exact same curriculum. So we are definitely diving into and having conversations, I know at the high school level with department chairs, about talk to me about performance in co-teaching classes versus a classroom with one teacher. And there's students that are multilingual learners, students that are special education. So trying to get a better sense of what does the instruction look like, and then providing, that's why we talked about adding in PD, what does the professional development have to look like if we're seeing a difference in student performance in these particular subgroups. I don't know if that to my mind.
I would also add something that would be new for our administrators, our building leadership. We are digging further into not just our IAR reports, but our ACT reports and comparing them to our iReady data. So I want to know within these subgroups, pulling the actual data and looking at the subgroup growth. So expected growth is, or average growth is the 50th percentile on IAR and ISA. And if students within the subgroup are not hitting that, we know they might not be at a level of proficiency for their grade level yet, but I would expect to see more than average growth with the supports that we are providing and accommodations or modifications within the classroom. So we as a school improvement leadership team, and in the work I'm doing with assistant principals and building leadership to analyze that data, we'll be looking at the subgroup and directly, specifically the academic growth on these assessments to identify who the students are that are making less than growth and putting targeted supports in place with the support of co-teachers and other staff that work specifically with the students to support the subgroup, which is different than we've done before. We haven't dug that deep before.
Another question, because you kind of mentioned ACT, so I'm going to jump to the ACT question, because Mr. Dees, you mentioned how students aren't pacing themselves. So what support or how can we also help our parents to support our students with ACT prep?
Oh, great question. So first, I'll talk about the school side, then I go to parent side second. So, one of the benefits of the program that you guys helped us to get this year, Progress Learning, is that we now have 3 times a year. In our prior work with test situations, we would give the kid just the one time and make or break, here it is. For us, we learned from the fall that test exposure is one thing, but also test support's a different thing. So we're going to winter time test, get very detailed scripts for proctors, because it's practice to go through. It is 5 minutes in this test, each band question 6. It is 10 minutes in this test, each band question 12. And we're having challenges across the school to answer all questions and per grade levels, competition, and they can win prizes based on who does more in this process to show kids first the value of why this process matters and coach them the process of how it has to operate on those assessments. In the parent conversation, we definitely are working with our SILT team this year. Our focus is our parent engagement on a variety of topics, one being ACT, to put information out about these things much more consistently in November, in December, basically every month of strategies and resources that they can pass on that are free of charge that can be given to families to help them be prepared for these sections. So I think for us, my biggest takeaway the past years is it's not just more questions. It's helping understand strategies to answer all the questions, answer them properly. So for us, is how can we be more targeted with our parents of here are some key resources that work on this skill versus here's a bunch of questions. And that's focused for us to have a monthly communication from December on through test in April that families get from us about those resources.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to have it on the high school website so those parents can get to those resources. Because ACT prep, I think the key is the free resources. I know there's plenty of paid, and I've had used those for my students, but that's not always a resource avenue that parents can go down. So those free resources is really where we need to make sure that it's in the hands of the parents.
In Progress Learning, which we have for the kids, we bought the whole package, which is the assessments and the intervention tools. So students have all the activities they can take in all 4 subsections for kind of subgroups or more practice tests that we've already bought for all kids in the district.
Thank you. I think I have one last question. Unless Scott, you had yours now. No, I think that might have covered. I know we talked about, the absenteeism, the chronic absenteeism, so I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is the review of the FOIA report. Any questions from the board as to what was presented in the documentation? Hearing none there, we will move to contracts under 1,000. And in fact, we did not have anything there, so we can skip right on to opportunity for public comment. As always, members of the public may participate in public comment during regular board meetings by attending in person or by submitting an electronic public comment form. Please note that members are limited to 3 minutes. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Electronic public comments are accepted up until noon on the day of the regularly scheduled meeting. The public commenter is contacted to confirm identity, and once confirmed, the electronic public comment is provided to all board members in written form, and a link to the electronic public comment form is online. We did have electronic public comment, which was delivered to the board, so thank you for that one. And then I will turn it over to, do we have local public comment? Thank you.
Claudia Lira. Good evening. My name is Claudia Lira and I'm a parent in the district. I am concerned over what happened with another school in a district within our county. It was accessed by two unauthorized parties. I am talking about Gurnee School District. I was surprised when I learned the school was not placed in lockdown when this occurred. It was reassuring to receive an email from Dr. Mendoza on October 30, advising the district is reviewing the safety measures because of this incident. I would like for a review for the response to ICE policy that was published on February 3rd to be reviewed. I would like change to the current policy for the new policy to reflect the current procedure utilized by the Chicago Public Schools titled Federal Agent Safety Plan, which has been verified by their legal counsel and therefore follows all the legal expectations of schools in Illinois. In particular, I am requesting that without a signed judicial warrant verified by the district's legal counsel, ICE/CBP agents will not be given access into our school property whatsoever. A lockdown process for when agents are spotted on or near schools grounds. Additional communication is provided to the families by the school district and additional safety measures that ensure our students and their families are safely making it to and from school. Until the said change without a judicial warrant signed by a judge that is first verified by the district legal counsel and without my or a trusted staff member present, I would deny any request or access to my students' records or to students interviewed by ICE or CBP agents. Thank you. Alma Gonzalez.
Just hold the button down so that we can hear you.
Gotta hold it the whole
Thank
time?
you.
Okay, sorry. My name's Alma Gonzalez, and I've actually lived in the Round Lake community my whole life. My parents have been here since the late 70s. I'm a graduate of Round Lake High School. I went to McGee Middle School also, and to Village Elementary. And I'm gonna, just like the parent that just spoke, but I want to read the statement in Spanish for parents that might be online watching. So, of course, we're just addressing the elephant in the room, which is ICE, that nobody really said until right now. Mi nombre es Alma González y soy miembro de la comunidad de Round Lake. Me pongo en contacto con ustedes en relación con la política de respuesta del ICE aprobado el 3 de febrero de 2025 debido al aumento de las acciones ilegales cometidas por el Servicio de Inmigración y Control de Aduanas ICE y la Patrulla Fronteriza y Aduanera CBP desde febrero, incluyendo el secuestro de ciudadanos estadounidenses y el intento de secuestrar a estudiantes mientras esperan en las paradas de autobús y cuando regresan a casa de las escuelas. Solicito un cambio en la política. Me gustaría que la nueva política refleje el procedimiento actual utilizado por las escuelas públicas de Chicago, llamado Plan de Seguridad para Agentes Federales, que ha sido verificado por su asesor jurídico y por lo tanto cumple con todas las expectativas legales de las escuelas en el estado de Illinois. En particular, solicito que si una orden judicial firmada y verificada por el asesor jurídico del distrito, los agentes de ICE o CBP, no tengan acceso a las instalaciones escolares. También pido que se incluya un proceso de cierre de emergencia para cuando se detecte la presencia de agentes en instalaciones escolares o en sus inmediaciones, que el distrito escolar se comunique con las familias y, lo más importante, que se tomen medidas de seguridad adicionales para garantizar que nuestros estudiantes y sus familias puedan ir y volver de la escuela de forma segura.
María de Lourdes.
Hi, my name's Maria de Lourdes. This feels like a full circle moment because I know the last time I spoke here was about the ICE response policy while also presenting on the proficiency rates. So it's kind of funny. My name is Maria de Lourdes and I'm a Round Lake community member. I'm kind of just seconding what Claudia as well as Alma said. I also want to acknowledge that we spent 15 minutes at the start of this board meeting honoring Latino culture, while also kind of dancing around the fact that a lot of our Latin American families are currently being hunted down by the current government administration. And schools have a responsibility to also protect our students. So, Mr. Jewett, thank you so much for also asking the question of what we're doing. So kind of going into that, I am requesting a change to the current ICE response policy that was approved by all of you on February 3rd of 2025, especially due to the increasingly illegal actions that are being committed by Immigration Customs Enforcement, or as we know, ICE, and the Customs and Border Patrol that was also sent to Illinois and has been attacking a lot of our students as well as our families. Since February, but including abducting U.S. citizens and attempting to kidnap students as they wait at bus stops and as they walk home from schools, which has occurred in both Waukegan as well as Round Lake. I'm petitioning for the change to the current policy, and I would like the new policy to reflect the current procedure utilized by the Chicago Public Schools titled Federal Agent Safety Plan. This is a current draft that they're still working through, but they've shared and posted, and it's been verified by their legal counsel, because I know Ms. Heather Bennett had concerns about the legalities. However, if ICE agents as well as Border Patrol do not have a valid judicial warrant signed by a judge, they must be or can be denied complete access to school premises, and therefore that is what we are requesting. So unless they have that signed judicial warrant verified by the district's legal counsel, ICE and Border Patrol agents will not be given any access into or onto school property whatsoever. There will be a lockdown process for if/when agents are spotted on or near school grounds, and additional communication to be provided to families by the school district. But most importantly, additional safety measures. I know we have a rapid response team that I'm sure you're aware of and maybe have worked with, but there's a lot of other schools such as North Chicago that are currently collaborating with the rapid response team to make sure that students are getting to and from school safe. So just making sure that all of that is in place. I actually have copies about the Federal Agent Safety Plan that I'll pass out to the board members. So yeah, again, while we love how much you honor our culture, you also can't honor our culture while not protecting our people. And then the other thing with the proficiency rates, I love this conversation so much. Just once.
I do ask, you are over 3 minutes at this point, so if we just wrap up.
Thank you so much. Dr. Stefan, I was wondering if you have included the related services in the conversations about the underperforming for special education students. Since they work directly with students, I think it'd be great to have their input. And then I know that the Catalyst for Educational Change had recommended MTSS improvement. I was wondering if there's an update on that, if you guys are working to improve the MTSS process, because I know currently within the elementary schools, it's lagging heavily. There's a low high need and very low interventionist ratio. And then also Mr. Dees, I believe it was. I was wondering if you've surveyed if students seem to care about ACT and their performance on ACTs or SATs, because that might also be impacting how they perform and could be the reason why they're just skipping through things. Thank you so much. Oh, and Dr. Is it Jacob Ellis? Thank you so much for the CPAC. Love that. I was also wondering if we could include related services from the community, specifically bilingual ones, because I can think of at least 3. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That is all the public comment that we have as of listed.
Just a couple comments to the last speaker. We will have somebody follow up with you with one call, and we might have multiple people there. Because what I heard is you had a question about related service, improvement in the MTSS process specific to the interventions, the high school specific to if students care about the ACT. So we'll make sure we follow up. I also want to make sure we're very clear with the board. The current ICE protocol that we have and have been implementing was actually drafted and crafted by one of the top 2 largest legal firms in the state of Illinois. So that was not developed locally. I want to thank the last speaker for passing out this protocol, because what we will do is take our current protocol, consult with legal, have them review this, and then share information with the board about if there's anything in there that isn't in ours that could enhance our process, and then we'll gladly share that with the board. So I'm just making a statement. So just want to get that there.
Thank you. And that will transition us to Dr. Mendoza and his superintendent's report.
Okay, just need a quick second here. All right, thank you very much, Board President Francisco and Board of Education. On September 30th, October 1st, and October 2nd, our district hosted a series of Apple Innovation Team workshops in partnership with Apple Professional Learning Specialists. These sessions brought together 4 key groups, including elementary teachers, secondary teachers, administrators, and instructional coaches, specialists for hands-on learning experiences. The workshop focused on using Apple tools such as Keynote and Clips to design engaging and creating learning experiences. Participants developed mini lessons they could immediately bring back to their classrooms or buildings, emphasizing creativity, communication, and student voice. The energy and engagement throughout all 3 days were exceptional. Teachers and administrators shared that they left feeling inspired and equipped with new strategies to enhance instruction and collaboration. Since the sessions concluded, our innovation specialists have continued this momentum by engaging with staff through coaching, conversations, and reflective journals, helping teachers apply what they learned directly to their instructional practices. These workshops represent an important step in building a district-wide culture of innovation and creativity. We're also excited to share some outstanding news for secondary music students from McGee, Round Lake Middle School, and Round Lake High School. October 1st, select students submitted their auditions for the Illinois Music Education Association's All District 7 Senior and Junior Honor Choir and Band. District 7, comprised of schools from Lake, McHenry, and Cook County, is widely considered to be the strongest region in the state, and that is a big region. We recently learned that a record 12 students were chosen to participate in these very competitive and prestigious groups. From the high school, DeAndre Evidente was selected to play flute in the honor band, and Jimena Arias, Aaron Ochoa, and Kenneth Secundino were selected to the honor choir. We had a record number of band auditions and also the highest score on auditions since that data has been shared. The all-district concert will take place on November 8th at Grays Lake North High School. Students that participate in all-district ensembles are then eligible to be selected for all-state ensembles. From the middle schools, Gerardo Ponce Torres and Felix Artiega, Cassandra Flores were selected to play in the band. Naomi Hernandez, Nina Hernandez, and Shador Jean-Baptiste, Caleb Pacheco, Emmanuel Bermudez were selected to the choir. This is the first year that ILMEA has selected students for a junior high band and orchestra. The junior all-district concert was on November 1st at Schaumburg High School. And last but certainly not least, every November, school districts across the state take time to honor those who serve in one of the most important volunteer roles in public education, our local boards of education. School Board Member Appreciation Month gives us the opportunity to recognize the dedication, leadership, and countless hours our board members devote to guiding the direction of the school district. Serving on a school board requires vision, courage, and a deep commitment to students and community. Our board members embody these qualities each and every day. They are volunteers who make decisions that are difficult, champion equity, and ensure that every student in Round Lake has an opportunity to thrive. Tonight, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our entire Board of Education for their service, and we'd like to take a moment to recognize each member individually. Board President Michael Francisco is celebrating 9 years of service. Michael is a leader whose spirit of engagement drives meaningful collaboration between our schools and community. His presence and partnership help strengthen every initiative we take on together. Board Vice President Peg Larson, with 13 years of service. Peg's unwavering student advocacy reminds us daily that every decision begins and ends with what's best for our students. Her voice ensures that their needs are always at the center of our work. Board Secretary Annette Negretti McGinley, making 20 years of dedicated service. Annette's drive and determination have helped shape the direction of the Round Lake area schools for 2 decades. Her leadership and commitment leave a lasting legacy of excellence. Board member Kevin DeVera is serving in his 12th year. Kevin is known for his quiet perseverance and steady leadership. He models consistency and dedication, and his work reflects a true belief in continuous improvement for our students and staff. Board member Scott Jewett, with 8 years of service. Scott brings an innovative mindset to the board table, always exploring new ideas and creative approaches that move our district forward. His vision helps us adapt, grow, and think differently. Board member Jennifer Klingler, who's not here, but I'd like to say is serving in her 9th year. Jennifer's leadership is grounded in care for students, for families, and for the entire Round Lake community. Her empathy and heart are evident in everything she does. Board member Julie Lee is serving in her 4th year of service. Julie's strength lies in her connection, her ability to build bridges between people and ideas, creating unity and understanding that benefit our entire district family. Together, this board represents more than 75 years of combined volunteer service as school board members, 75 years of heart, leadership, and unwavering commitment to our students and community. On behalf of our entire administrative team, our staff, and families we serve, we'd like to personally and sincerely thank you for your service, your leadership, and your belief in the power of education. We are truly grateful for all that you do for Round Lake Area School District 116. So I'd like to give you a round of applause. As a superintendent, I'm in my, not as a superintendent, but it's my 31st year in public schools, public service, my 28th as an administrator, and I've served almost a decade as a superintendent, over a decade. And one of the things that is very indicative of very strong school districts is continuity of leadership. And if you look at what I just read, I mean, Miss Lee is our most recent board member, and she has 4 years, and you go down the line, 9 years, 13, 20, 12, 8. And one of the things that I appreciate sincerely as your superintendent is how you continue to challenge us to get better. We don't feel like we can relax. We're constantly striving to do better for our kids. And if you look at what's transpired in the last 15 years and where we were and where we are, I mean, it's really, really incredible. And many of you have been here for, I mean, my entire duration. I mean, at least a significant part of it. So I want to thank you for your commitment, your dedication, your leadership. I've worked in 4 districts. They've all been very, very large. Round Lake is the smallest district. And without question, this is the steadiest, most thoughtful board that I've ever worked with. So I just want to personally thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to take a brief pause during the meeting so we can get every board member some cake over there. And certainly cabinet members are welcome, and even people in the audience are welcome to come up and get some cake, and we'll continue the board meeting. So thank you, board. Very much appreciate you.
All right, thank you for that break, and we really do appreciate that. And we will now move on to committee reports. And with that, the Community Engagement Committee update. And Ms. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Francisco. The Community Engagement Committee met tonight, and first on the agenda, Dr. Apgar brought us a plan to implement the parent absence request feature in Infinite Campus. This feature allows parents to enter an absence request directly into Infinite Campus. You can upload supporting documents, doctor's notes. Teachers are notified, the secretary. This system provides more convenient and transparent process for families and helps reduce manual phone calls and data entry for school office staff. There is a little step-by-step tutorial in the packet along with the program. The SOP is in there as well. We did have some requests for the SOP to be tweaked just a little bit, and so that will be brought to us in the December meeting. In the packet, there's a list of schools who are currently utilizing this program successfully, and we brought up concerns for students using the parent portal. Other districts had the same concern, and it hasn't been an issue. Mostly education for parents to protect their username and login info, because sometimes parents share that with their kids. Parents will still have the option to call their student in. They can have an option of having a student be absent for the day, for a few days, tardy, or will be leaving early. And then you can upload doctor's notes or what have you. The rollout is supposed to be targeted for second semester, January 2026. The secretaries have already been trained starting in August, and training is ongoing. Staff and administration communication will go out early December, and communication to parents in early December as well. But I encourage you to look at the packet. Next, we had Dr. Jacobellis talk to us about the upcoming CPAC formation, Special Education Advisory Committee, which is really great and exciting program. We've got a timeline for the fall, distribute interest forms to families and students with IEPs, plan and promote first CPAC informational meeting in the winter 2025-26. We'll host the first CPAC informational meeting, identify parent leadership representatives, draft goals, and then spring of 2026 host the first parent educational event, establish a meeting schedule for 26-27 school year, and present overview and progress to the board. And there's also information in the packet as well. I encourage you guys to look at that. And that was it. We looked at the communication snapshot, nothing to tweak there. You can look and see the events that are coming up. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, much appreciated as always. And that will take us to approval of open meeting minutes.
Need a motion to approve the October 20th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negrete McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Need a motion to approve the October 27th, 2025 special meeting stakeholders advisory group.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mrs. Negrete McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yeah.
Mr. Francisco,
Yes.
Miss Lee,
Yes.
Mr. De Vera,
Yes.
Motion carries.
Need a motion to approve the consent agenda for the following items. The accounts payable report for $2,141,454.97. The November 3rd, 2025 employment report.
So. Second.
Motion by Mr. De Vera, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Miss Lee,
Yes.
Mr. De Vera,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco,
Yes.
Mrs. Negrete McKinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Motion carries. And that will take us to old business. And first up on that is the Winter Guard overnight trip and Mr. Peterson.
Good evening, everybody. At a previous board meeting, I had the opportunity to present for your consideration a proposal for our Winter Guard trips. And for that, as a refresher, we looked at two different trips. The reason being we were on a waiting list for the Nationals. In the event that we didn't get selected for that trip, we still want an opportunity for our students to participate in one of these events. There were a number of questions that were brought up at our last meeting, and I'll try to address this as we go through the proposal. First of all, I know Mr. Francisco, you presented having a deadline for us to make a decision. We've agreed upon December 1st would be the date that we would make a decision on that, which would give ample time for, we believe, our participants and our families as well. I did a more detailed breakdown in the report that was posted to give a better view of, we needed some information with the transportation costs. But if you look at the proposal, I did break down into estimated costs per student with those transportation costs included. There's two breakdowns for each trip, and those breakdowns were for 12 members or for 16 members. Typically, the Winter Guard has 12 to 16. The tryouts are coming up here, so we don't have a definitive number of the exact number, but you get a range of those prices. So for the trip to Nationals, with 12 members, that range is roughly $230 to $240 per student. And then with 16 individuals, $170 to $180 roughly. For the trip to Flint, Michigan, it's a shorter trip, which means those are why the costs are lower there. Once again, there's a breakdown there at 12 students. It's $137 roughly per student. And for 16 students, a little over $100 per trip. I do want to highlight that if with any of the chaperones that would be on this trip, if they are not a district employee, we would run full background checks on those individuals. Lodging, Ms. McGinley, you brought up where are we staying? What does that look like? And similar to with athletics, we're looking at trying to make a more standardized approach to our lodging. The places that have been selected so far as potential locations would be in line with those standards. The last question that was brought about was in regard to fundraising opportunities. So the opportunities that would be presented to students, they could engage in the chocolate sales, similar to what we do with other fine arts activities. We're looking at some popcorn sales that has a pretty high profit margin, but roughly 50% of what is sold comes back to our students. Other opportunities that are on the board right now, a sip and paint, non-alcoholic. I just want to point that out, non-alcoholic. A trivia night, and there have been some summer car washes that have already happened to help fund this project. So are there any further questions? No? Okay.
None.
So I would like to seek your approval for these trips.
I need a motion to approve the Round Lake High School Varsity Winter Guard trip to WGI Nationals in Dayton, Ohio, April 8th through April 11th, 2026, pending acceptance into the event. An alternate trip to WGI Flint Regional in Flint, Michigan, February 20th, 2022, 2026, to serve as a contingency if Nationals participation is not confirmed. With the understanding that all trip costs except for the district-provided bus transportation will be covered through student fundraising, student fees, and fine arts booster support.
So.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Ms. Lee. Hearing no additional conversation, roll call please.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. De Vera,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco,
Yes.
Miss Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and I also want to thank you for your support and all you're doing for not just the Round Lake schools, but the community as a whole. Thank you. Have a great evening.
And that will bring us to the new high school new course proposals. Dr. Steffen.
We're just looking for board approval in regards to the 3 courses that we brought forward in new business to the previous board meeting, the CLC English 121 dual credit course, the AP Business and Personal Finance course, as well as the Math Fundamentals 2 support course for any of our sophomores next year that will be needing additional math support.
Any questions from the board?
So just to follow up, when you presented this last meeting regarding the communication to families, like for those dual credits, has that been crafted and ready to go?
That is definitely a piece as we start rolling out registration. So once the courses are approved, with the work that we've been doing in schooling, some pathways, we'll work with the counseling department as we do like the freshman onboarding night and make sure that there are dual credit pieces. I know things have already been created, but we'll make sure that that's a part of the process with Mr. Dees and the school counselors.
Okay, thank you. All right, need a motion to approve the courses for the 2026-2027 school year as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Miss Lee,
Yes.
Mr. De Vera,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco,
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley,
Yes.
And motion carries. And that will bring us to new business and Ms. Fontana with the Health and PE Resource Agreement.
Good evening. I am here seeking your support to enter into a 5.5-year agreement with Quaver Ed, specifically for their health and PE curriculum resource designed for elementary students. In the last couple of years that I've been working with our wellness teachers at elementary, we've done a lot to improve our PE course within the gymnasium, and we've identified some gaps in resources for our health portion of that curriculum. So we started researching different opportunities, and Quaver Health is one that came to us. Actually, our elementary music teachers use the Quaver Ed music portion. So we met with them and discovered that it's an unbelievable tool and has a lot of opportunities for both our staff, students, and families within there. It will not only support our teachers in providing the necessary resources, activities, and assessments for the students, but also provide our students with high quality resources essential to topics critical to their physical and social emotional well-being, and then also ensure that we are meeting all ISB mandates regarding health education at the elementary level. This resource also has a plethora of supports for our families and communication home for them when we are entering into some of those critical topics. It is fully available in Spanish, both within the resource materials and videos there, and it integrates with our current tech tools and Canvas as that opportunity. This 5.5-year agreement would begin in January. It is has been approved through our Ill Empower grant funds. We would be paying for it up front, as we do have a discount with that agreement for a total of just over $27,000 for the 5.5-year agreement for this curriculum resource. Are there any questions?
So just to add, this was at the last finance meeting, so thank you for pointing out how, one of the questions was what resources could we give to parents? So I know you covered that. And then as mentioned, this is covered by our Ill Empower grant. And because of the grant and the contract, that's why all 5 years are being paid up front.
Hearing no additional conversation?
I need a motion to review and approve the agreement with Quaver Ed for the purchase of the health and PE curriculum resources in the amount of $27,027 budgeted out of the Illinois Empower grant.
So
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, second by Ms. Lee. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Motion carries. And that will bring us to second semester overnight middle school trips and Mr. Randolph and Miss Howard.
All right, so we are looking to get approval for our overnight field trip to Washington, D.C., which takes place the weekend of Kashmir Pulaski. Students leave on the 28th and they come back on the 2nd. The chaperones this year are 2 of our staff, so they have already been background checked and everything. We have 2 staff going. We have approximately 20 students going. Today was the last day for students to be able to sign up to go. And we did not get any additional students to sign up today. Students are currently, actually today was the kickoff day to start fundraising for the popcorn. Both of the staff that are going this year are also fundraising for popcorn as well, and all of the proceeds from that are going to go to help contribute to the cost of the trip. The popcorn is just a supplement for the trip. It does not cover the entire cost, but it's to help supplement that for families. Our sponsors as well are foregoing they get a stipend from World Strides every year to do this. They're foregoing their stipend this year to go towards the students as well to try and cut down the cost as well. Does anyone have any questions?
In light of the conversations that we've had, especially like tonight as well, are you seeing sign-up numbers being lower than normal, deciding not to make this trip? Any kind of concerns on that? And then also, what kind of safety and security measures are we looking at making sure that we're taking care of while they're on the trip as well?
So no, especially I think that this is around the same number of students that we had around last year go on the trip. So we have not seen a huge decline in the trip. We are just making sure that our staff are well versed in the protocols of the district. So they are able to answer anything and any concerns that the parents might have.
Thank you.
Did you say there was 20 students going? And that's for both middle schools? Okay. It's the same as previous years?
Yeah, last year we had around 20 students as well go.
It seems low. Seems low. Like over the last, let's do 5 years. What has been the numbers we've had for the last 5 years? No?
I am not sure off the top of my head. I know last year we were at 20 last year. For the previous year, I am not sure for that.
Okay. I'm curious to what the attendance has been, because I'm just recalling from when my kids did it, there was, the story with my credit card going around for the playing TV, there was a lot of kids. So 20 just seems really low.
Well, it is better than when Miss Lee and my kids didn't get to go because it didn't happen.
Well,
so.
I know we can't do anything about COVID.
We'll get that information to you.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
To the
Okay,
full board.
it seems low. And I definitely appreciate that the teachers foregoing their stipend to help reduce the cost for the students. And just to confirm, it is a plane, not a bus to DC.
Correct, it is a plane.
Just wanted to confirm. That's all I just would like to know the numbers. Just 20 seems low. So I'm just curious if we're seeing a decline, maybe even this year because of the climate that we're in and cost. Because again, $1,500 that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's my thought too, is I do think it's the cost, but we can definitely get the numbers for you and let you know what that has been and the trend over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see that trend.
All right, hearing no additional conversation. This was discussion only, thank you.
Will the 5 years, there was no trip 2020 or 2021, I believe. So in the 5 years do you want?
Yeah, you'd have to
Prior to
skip,
those.
yeah, you'd have to skip the
Okay.
pandemic
Or
year.
probably try and look at like maybe an 8 year, go all the way back and get some window before the pandemic as well.
That works. We can absolutely do that.
It does show a recommendation in the meeting. Is the board supposed to vote on this? Because it's outside of the 200-mile radius, which is board policy.
It only shows as discussion. Is it coming back? Yeah, because it only shows as discussion, so I cannot make a motion.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, on the
that's accurate.
recommendation,
The
it
field
says-
trips are come forward. Yanira and I worked through this. They come forward the first time through. We looked at how we did it in
Okay.
August.
Okay, that's
as
what I thought.
new business. We get your questions, then we'll come back for old business, and then it'll be action.
Yeah, this is just an internal thing under the recommendation. It says that recommend the board approve. So let's just say,
Yeah, give a date.
discussion
Date,
purpose
right.
only or approve at the X meeting. We'll fix that internally. So
Yeah,
thank you,
recommendation
Lisa.
coming to the
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
is what it should say. I see why people were
Yeah.
confused.
Thank you. All right, now we'll turn it over to Truth and Independent Contractors.
Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. This is part of the contracts that we had requested that you approve in August, the master contracts for outside agencies. We are in the process of continually filling the specific positions that have not been filled throughout the year, as we've had a very difficult time with recruiting in-house social workers, speech and language pathologists, and psychologists. So until we can shore that up, we have these contracting agencies. And so this is from a contracting agency that you already approved. I'm just asking for approval of the individual contracts for the virtual speech pathologist, 2 of them, and the virtual psychologist as well.
I need a motion to approve the independent contractors from Insight Global as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Ms. Lee. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yeah.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Ms. Lee? Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
And that will bring us to Ms. Ames Soul and the temperature monitoring system proposals.
Good evening. This temperature monitoring system proposal has already gone to the Finance Committee, and we are now bringing it to the board for approval. It will cost us in the first year a little over $9,000. At any given time, we have about $65,000 worth of food on the premises between all of our buildings. We have experienced over $11,000 worth of food loss due to equipment breaking down and not being aware that the equipment had broken down. So this temperature monitoring system will help us avoid, hopefully, food loss. But in addition to that, it's also going to gain us the ability to have compliance issues erased from our food service audits. If at any time our food service, one of our food service employees takes a log of the temperature, they're supposed to log in on the temperature log. Sometimes they do it on a piece of paper, forget to put it on the log, and that actually constitutes a finding. So this temperature monitoring system will not only help us prevent food loss, but will also help us maintain proper audit standards. And so we're asking for board approval.
So as Ms. Amesole mentioned, this was at the last finance meeting. So and for the various reasons, as she just mentioned, I had shared with Ms. Amesole that the Sonico, the company used or recommended here for the board's consideration for this service. I'm familiar with them. I'm more on the pharmaceutical side, obviously not for food, but very reputable, very good company. And again, as you heard her say, everything's automated. So if they do take the temperature and put it on a little handy piece of sheet, but forget to put it on the log, we're not going to have those findings. Just to also mention, again, this is coming out of the food service fund. Again, that food service fund has quite a heavy balance. So taking the funds for this of the $9,191, is not significant in the food service fund balance. Because I know we're all mindful of where these dollars are coming from. All right, and with that, I need a motion to approve the purchase of the Sonico temperature monitoring system for Organic Light Sonico in the amount of $6,575.10 for a one-time fee, plus the $2,508 annually for monitoring services to be funded through the Food Service Fund for a total of $9,191.10.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Ms. Lee. Hearing no additional conversation, roll call please.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco,
Yes.
Mr. Tavera,
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yeah.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Motion carries. And that will bring us to the arbiter pay contract. And yep, Mr. Karolzak.
Good evening. I'm here today to request that the board review and support the contract with Arbiter to use their Arbiter pay system to pay all athletic contest officials at the high school and both middle schools. We currently already work with Arbiter to schedule all of our officials, so adding Arbiter pay to pay our officials will allow us to do it on time without error, eliminating the need to cancel and reissue checks, speed up the process of paying officials in a timely manner, while still aligning with board policies of approving payments. And at the high school, we would be looking to start that with the upcoming winter season. And I believe the same would be true at both middle school. John and Brittany left already. But yeah. T, do you remember they're going to start a little bit later than us because they had already worked on some pre-approved checks. But the contract is in the amount of $8,900 for this first year only. That includes one-time setup fees and associated costs at all three schools, as well as prorated costs for the winter and spring seasons at all three schools this year, and then all of next year as well. So moving forward, it would be approximately $4,400 a year. And I will take any questions.
So this was at finance last meeting as well. We looked at really like the setup because of how it gets paid, who controls those funds, who approves. So we did work with Mr. Karolzak, making sure that Ms. Ames Soul is involved in that. In the opinion of finance, there needs to be a cabinet member who oversees the financial aspect of that. Well, Mr. Karolzak and his team will input the referees and those whatever monies are due for reffing. It ultimately goes through finance department. So making sure those protocols are in place. The additional question that came up again, just as we mentioned with the temperature monitoring system, the funds. So we asked, you're paying $8,900. There's still an annual fee. We already know we're all tightening our belts. Mr. Karolzak mentioned that he would make appropriate cuts where need be to afford this moving forward. Is that still correct?
Yes, that is still correct. We've been looking at any and all effective cost-saving measures this year in the athletic department, and we will make the appropriate offsets so that we can afford it for this year. Moving forward, it being less than $5,000, we do not anticipate that being a significant burden on the athletic department. And just to piggyback off of what Ms. Negretti McGinley said in terms of the payment, yeah, think of it as a two-step authentication process. Myself or the event supervisor on duty that evening will verify that the officials were here, they did their job, and then check off in the system that they are approved for payment. It will then go to T, who will actually enter the PIN and release those funds. So no money will be dispersed without her approval of it.
What do we anticipate the time frame? I know, especially from officials, that I get every weekend when I'm working USSF games complaining about how late we are in paying. What do we anticipate that turnaround time to become once we get up and running?
Once we're up and running, it'll be the next day, right?
It would be the next day or one time a week. I mean, we would also have to work it into the schedule of when we submit payments in the finance department. So it's not one of those things where we'd be going in every day and approving arbiter pay. It would be a once a week type of thing. So we would be significantly improving how they're paid currently, because right now they wait for weeks. We're net 60.
Or sometimes even net 90 or 120 if it's a late spring event. Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, I need a motion to approve the contract with Arbiter to use their Arbiter pay system to pay all athletic contestant officials at the high school and both middle schools in the amount of $8,900.
So
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Ms. Lee. One last comment, I apologize, it just dawned on me. Just as a clarification, Arbiter handles W-9 situations, so that's actually going to take a lot of paperwork out of the finance department. Thank you for that clarification. Hearing no additional conversation, because I'll shut up now. Roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
yeah.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mrs. Negrete McGinley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And that will bring us to positive occurrences.
The stakeholder advisory, I mean, that really well run, really positive conversations at the table. As a matter of fact, and then also something else I noticed is there are a lot of after the meeting conversations that were really cool to see as well. So it was cool. And as a matter of fact, there was a contingency. There was about needing a special education parent advisory committee. There was a whole group that was actually talking about that, by the way.
Additional positive occurrence.
I will just second the stakeholder advisory committee meeting. Had a lot of great conversations, great ideas, and I always enjoy the community getting together and having some input into the education of their students.
Yeah, I would just second that again. Great conversation. Though I'll mention I did love the parent who said, I don't understand these acronyms. Which is why I tell everybody it's so important. I know I had to be at my table, right? And I'm like, I agree with you.
Yeah, it was great. The only, and maybe this is just way too in the weeds, but putting chairs all the way around the table so that you had people facing your table, but the presentations behind you may not have been the easiest, because I know I was sitting that way where I literally had to turn it all the way around to see the presentation and come all the way back. But maybe that's just me. All right, hearing nothing else on that, we'll move to future agenda items. Anybody have anything they'd like to put up on the conversation totem pole? Hearing nothing there, we will then move to approval of closed session minutes reviewed at a prior meeting.
Right, need a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes of October 6, 2025, regular board meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee. Sorry, what? Oh, okay. Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Mrs. Larson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jewett,
Abstain.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Tavera,
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
Yes. And motion carries. And that will bring me to, I need a motion for us to convene in closed session as permitted by statute 5 ILCS 120/2 for the purpose of discussing the following: employment matters 5 ILCS 120/2C1, closed meeting minutes 5 ILCS 120/2C21, and student disciplinary matters 5 ILCS 120/2C9.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mr. Tavera. Roll call, please.
Ms. Lee? Yes. Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Motion carries, and that will bring us to the end of our open session for the evening. Thank you, everyone online. Look forward to your attendance at our next meeting, which should be on the 17th. Everyone have a great evening.